Welcome to another edition of 42 Straight Years In. On my crackhead update, this scenario is not, these two youngsters, I don't know if they're crackheads, but it's a crackhead move they were making. I was out at Walmart, and this lady, young Hispanic lady, she was driving a 350 Ford Dually, and I guess that's her boyfriend. He was in the front of it, and she was steady bumping him with the truck. And she had her windows rolled up, and she was crying. I could hear what he was saying. She wasn't saying anything. She just had tears in her eyes, steady bumping him with the truck all across the parking lot. He trying to stop her, and what it was, he didn't want to purchase diapers for a baby. I imagine she felt bad because she's pretty as a son of a gun, and she done got played by this young guy. Now, he had on the short sets and the Jordans and the fly shades and the Dallas Cowboy cap on, but she been played smooth out of pocket. They probably not drug addicts. They're so young. But that's my crackhead update. I haven't been nowhere. I'm gonna head to Oak Cliff later on this afternoon. All right, y'all know what it is. Get your shanks out and let's ride. I'm gonna start my Patreon this Sunday. The information to the Patreon account will be in the description, so I can get raw and uncut. Due to the guidelines and the parameters that I gotta operate under, you gotta be careful what you say, because you will be flagged. Y'all had a subscriber ask me about the longest sentence in Texas. According to the prison system, it's James Kevin Smith. He received 40 stacked life sentences for sexual assault of a child out of Parker County, Texas. He's no longer in the system. And also, my buddy here, who I personally know, Eugene Spencer Jr., he was sentenced to 10,000 years for killing a San Antonio cop during a gas station robbery. Right now, he's 76 years old. He's 5 feet 5 inches tall, 119 pounds, and he's been locked up for 47 years. It came out during the trial that the guy who testified against him was a jailhouse informant. And naturally, he's going to say whatever is necessary so he can get a lesser charge for the crime that he committed. The appeal court said it was wrong, but it was a harmless error. He couldn't get past the harmless error doctrine, so ground error goes out the window. Everyone was asking me about what privileges did the inmate guards receive for working with the prison administration. Well, it varied from prison to prison. The guy at Ramsey, who ran the whole prison, Big Bear, he left the prison every weekend in the warden's car with free world clothes on. So he got lots of benefits. In his cell, he didn't have a bunk. He had a bed. So he did have fringe benefits. He never told no one where he would go. But we see him leave on a Friday. He would come back on a Sunday night driving the warden's vehicle. So they did receive benefits. Also, they were going to make parole unless they was a mass murderer or mass rapist or kill a cop. They know they was going to make their first parole. Also in Texas prison, when it was TDC, a lot of guys went along with the program because you was going home. Parole board didn't give you all the set-offs and parole denials like they do now. If you went to work, you didn't receive no disciplinary, you almost was guaranteed to go home. Unless you was a mass murderer, mass rapist, or you killed a cop. You got one of those 3 crimes, well, you know you was going to be there for a minute. But all the rest of the guys were going home. So I could understand why some guys went along with the program. And that was the mindset here in Texas, is when you get to a Texas prison, the guards are going to be inmates. So we didn't know no other way that it's supposed to be. A lot of guys been in other state prisons where it's not ran that way, but the southern prisons had inmate guards, specifically Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. The guards were inmates. Some states allowed the inmates to carry guns, some didn't. But it was fringe benefits. To be in a prison, you can go eat anytime that you want to eat. You could get food from the officer's dining room. Your cell door is never closed. You can go anywhere you want in the prison at any time, no questions asked. You could do all the prison hustles without getting in any trouble. If you was into the fat butt bar game, well, you could have that also, no trouble. Unlimited gambling. So they did have fringe benefits. To me, those benefits was not worth me brutalizing another inmate who wear the same clothes I wear. This guy is not the cause of me being in prison. If you wanted to be a correctional officer so bad, you should have joined the sheriff's department or the local police department when you was on the outside instead of committing a crime, and you would have been on the other team. But you chose the incarcerated team. So take your licks. You know, at Ramsey, the toughest guy at Ramsey, which was Johnny Armstrong. Nobody at that whole prison could beat this guy in fisticuffs. No one. And he wasn't an inmate guard. Could have been one easily. He was on the boxing team. He go from unit to unit, fighting their best fighters. And he did not join the prison administration. He worked out in the same field squad that I worked in. Me and him both in one hole. This man could have easily joined the team, but he just would not do it. You know, I would see some of those guys. Back then, there was a lot of guys, man, they were illiterate, not functionally illiterate. They were illiterate. Like at Eastham, the cell block I lived on had 2 of the inmate guards couldn't even read and write. Raymond Jackson and Jack Spriggs on Ireland, the House of Pain. They kept one of these little wives out there sitting beside them to write the stuff down on the board and to do the count. Because these fools can't read and write. But they were inmate guards. They were there. Raymond Jackson was a huge guy. He's a weightlifter. He here in Dallas now. He got found actually innocent. He's here in Dallas. Matter of fact, I was on Cedar Crest, and he pulled right up beside me in his vet. So he's doing good for himself. This guy was straight up illiterate. Jack Spriggs, he's from San Antonio, and he was just a total fool. This guy will hit you in the head with an iron pipe so fast. He don't want you looking at him. You could sit in the day room and drink coffee all night if you wasn't afraid to go get hot water. Because back then, there was no hot water in the day room. You had to go out there where the inmate guard was to get hot water. Guys would be too scared to go out there and deal with Jack Spriggs when he working. So if you wasn't afraid, you can sit there and go get a guy a cup of coffee. He going to give you a cup of coffee because he don't want to go out and deal with this guy. He got the iron pipe right under a towel sitting there. And he constantly remind everybody in the day room, I would get up and crack your head open. He didn't allow no talking, None of that in the day room. You couldn't do nothing when this guy is working. And everybody know he's not selling you a hog. He actually will send you in a live flight helicopter. Now, I've met a few of the inmate guards who weren't quite as violent as some of the rest, but still you were on the team. If you wasn't going to participate, you wasn't a team player, they didn't have no use for you. They're going to throw you back to the dogs. Now, at East Sam, they had a little Hispanic turnkey. Man, this guy was sorry. His name Very Out. Man, what they would do, the white inmate guards would get him, when you come out for chow, to just walk up and hit you. This guy's real small. He can't whoop nobody. But he got all these other inmate guards backing him up. They would get him to set it off. He'd walk up, hit you in the mouth, you automatically gonna start fighting. Then the rest of them come up with the iron pipe and the lead in the water hose and blackjack, and they beat you down. So I don't know what he did. But one day we was out in the black line. We was getting ready to go to work that morning. And we saw him standing there beside the major. The major put him in one hole, this work squad I worked in. And we got on the trailers. First, coming out of the gate, we the first work squad out. Guys want to jump him right then, but that crazy major sitting there with his gun, so the dude said, hey, just leave him alone. They done threw this man to the dogs. All the dirt he done did, they don't care nothing about it. Throw him to the dogs. I don't know what he had did, but they put him right in there with us. As soon as the work trailer start moving, it'd be about 25 trailers at Esam with a big John Deere tractor pulling. Soon as the trailer start moving, guys went to pounding. Boy, they stomped this dude so bad and threw him off the trailers. They stopped the trailers. The water boys got out, came back, helped him up, put him back in the trailer with us again. Man, they beat him all the way to work. All while we were working, somebody come by there and kick him, slap him. Coming back in, he got the same treatment. So we came in for our lunch break. He went in the cell and cut his wrist. He can't hang. They done threw him to the dog. He just went to screaming and hollering up in his cell and cut both his wrists. So if you piss the warden off or piss one of the inmate guards off who actually run things, he will throw you to the dogs. You right out there with the same people who you assaulted. And guys start assaulting them back. At one time, they would lose their position, come back out like ain't nothing ever happened. I thought, this ain't gonna fly. This is not gonna fly. Ramsey would do the same thing. They get pissed off at one of them. Well, the head inmate guard, he be the one make you lose your job. It don't be the warden. You done pissed him off, and he go down there and tell the warden, hey, change this guy's job, put him back out in the fields. And it's a done deal. So they had put 3 of them out in the field with us on Ramsey. Beat them to death. I'm talking about beat them to death. So I noticed when we came in for lunch, they all be hanging around. Be a lot of inmate guards standing around. And they already knew about it because they had to send the ambulance out there to pick these guys up. I heard them talking about, man, Larry Lee and them, man, they beat them guys up, man. I seen some of them who I done had a problem with. I just look at them. I seen the look in the eye. They couldn't even look at me. Saying to myself, you better be a good inmate guard. Because you lose that job and come back out here where we're at, I feel sorry for you. So that would make them have second thoughts when they get ready to do some dumb stuff. They used to didn't do no negotiating. Every time you violate one of their rules, you was gonna get brutally assaulted. So then they started a little policy, hey, we'll try to talk to a few guys, especially guys who they know got pulled out there in the cotton fields. The field guards don't care about who you assault. They didn't even care. They don't babysit no one. If you was a good worker, man, you could basically assault anybody you want. They ain't gonna even pull their gun. They ain't gonna say nothing. Just sit there and look. They ain't gonna say stop, quit, that's enough. They don't say nothing. Every now and then the major, who was Red Rider, he would ride up and say that's enough. Every blue moon he'll do that. But if Captain Bad is out there, he gonna let you get killed. He don't care nothing about violence. He just gonna sit there and chew his cigar and look crazy as hell. That's what he gonna do. He ain't gonna say one word. On my Patreon, I'll be able to be raw and uncut, because really, when I be talking about the old days, that was a violent system, and I don't know no way you can explain it except the exact way it was. And YouTube do not allow all of the cursing and the violence and the racial epithets. That's how they talked. They didn't call you gentlemen and you guys like they do now. That is not how they talk to you. I'm tired. Everything was racial. But they don't actually mean it racial, because they treated all races the same. They didn't cater to the white inmate. They didn't cater to the Hispanic. They sure didn't cater to the black. If you was a good worker, you got it made. In order to make it in the fields, you had to be in top physical shape. And you had to have your mind. You couldn't be out in the middle of a cotton field. It's 100 degrees thinking about Oak Cliff. You got to have your mind on that cotton. To pick cotton, you got to have good concentration. You got to get your weight in order to eat. If you don't have your weight, you will not eat. They will feed you breakfast the next morning. You ain't going to have no shower or nothing. Stinking and dirty. Right back to work again. You come in at lunch. You ain't got your weight. You not going to eat. You're going to be standing in the hallway. All the other guys going to eat chow. You not going to eat. You come in that afternoon and do the same thing. They had a lot of tricks for you. Standing on soda water crate. Hang you up by handcuffs. Or Ramsey had the jailhouse. They just throw you there. It's built like an old 1800 jail. That's how it looked. Just like a jail. That's why it had the right name. Jailhouse. They'll put you in there. No bed to sleep on the concrete. No water to drink, a turnkey got to bring you some, open the door, let you go out and get some water. You know where to use the restroom, he got to let you do that. So they had a lot of tricks for you if you did not work up to their standards. And it was a quota system. If you didn't have your weight, nothing happening for you. You work too slow, you was going to receive the same treatment. They didn't allow talking. No talking while you working. Only person can talk is the lead row, tail row, and the striker, and the foul boy. Nobody else, no talking. You can fight anytime you want to out in the fields. Drop your work tool and go at it. They don't care. Y'all come on over and follow me on Patreon. And I got to run a couple errands and see what the day brings. It's kind of raining here in Dallas. It's a little bit chilly outside. And I got to go check low tire pressure light came on. I think I got a faulty sensor. It keeps coming on. I get air put into it. It keeps doing it. I can drive it one day, then the sensor will come back on again. So I'm going to get that checked out. And I'm going to head over to Oak Cliff. Y'all like and subscribe. Keep your shanks ready. Follow me on Patreon. Y'all have a good day.